computer. We're going to go ahead and pump it out to Facebook Live because that takes a minute for it to pop up. And hopefully this is all set up the right way still. Let's see here. Continue as Joner. Public. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. Going live there. Take a look at that on here. There we are. Oops. Here we are on live. Turn this down. There we go. And we can see the comments there. And back to Zoom here. There we go. All right. Bill Delaney entered the room. Excellent.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Hello.
Hey there.
Okay. We're going to do this. Now, do you want to be up in the room here with us, or do you, how do I do this? I'm new to this, Bill. Bear with me. All right. Spotlight for everyone. Okay, great. All right, here we go. Let's do this.
All right.
All right, here we go. All right, it's 2:00. Here we are. We're at the Paperback Exchange Bookstore. This is Joni Hepsworth, 6412 Ridge Road, Port Richey, in wonderful Pasco Land, Florida. And today we are going to be talking with, well, let me wait till we introduce our special guest here. But we've got some stuff going on here at the shop really quick. We're up to 7 days a week now. So we are here 10 to 6 during the week, Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. And then we have Kat here, which she's a little bit camera shy. She's been working with us on Fridays and Saturdays. She's been working with me on Tuesdays. So if you need anything, she's roll up to speed. She can get everything taken care of. She's been running the shop for a couple of days, so I can have some time off. So thank you very much, Kat. Thank you very much, Pasco and Tampa Bay, for supporting us through this crazy pandemic time. And we've got a ton of books here. And without further ado, we would like to introduce Mr. Joshua Ginsberg.
Hi, everybody.
Local author, poet, scavenger, fiction writer, which I want to see the fiction book. I didn't see it anywhere pop up, so you let me know where that's at.
Will do.
Textual artist, so that's not my term. I heard that on the interweb the other day. I like to call our local authors here that we support text workers. Support your local text worker. Thank you for joining us, Joshua.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I am feeling really very good and relaxed today. Just yesterday, I sent out the full revised draft of my next book, which kind of feels like I gave birth to a rhinoceros using my brain. And so today I am just kind of spent and relaxed and kicking back and excited to talk to everybody.
Well, thank you for joining us here. I don't have anybody in the shop at this time, except Kat's here with me. I am going to remove my mask for the interview. If somebody shows up, rules are rules. I'll put my mask on so we're not sharing
Yep.
spit. Bobby.
And we're masked twins. I have a very spiffy looking version
right?
of the same there.
Thank you very much. This is Josh's book, Secrets Tampa Bay, The Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure. It is available now. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at published out by Reedy Press. Let me pull that up for you here real quick. I'm going to share a screen in the background. Here's Joshua on his Reedy Press page. Joshua Ginsberg is a writer, entrepreneur, and curiosity seeker who is, in 2016, decided with his wife to trade the frigid winters of the Midwest. Where'd you come from in the Midwest, Josh?
My wife and I came from Chicago. I had lived there for the better part of about 10 years. But originally, I'm actually from a little suburb outside of Philadelphia.
And you landed here in 2016?
That's right. It was right around October, late September, early October. So this time around, that'll make 5 years we've been down here, and it went fast.
That is fast. It does go fast when you're here the first time, for the first few years.
Yeah.
We've been down here for about 23 now, and we still haven't found a lot of this stuff that you've got, this wonderful collection of just off the beaten path, things the locals may not tell you about right away. That may take you a few more years. So this is a great stepping stone to being able to find some of that stuff that they may not always share with you right away. And just in detail, and the history alone that you've brought into the book, taps into my love of nonfiction. Mm-hmm. Did you find any discrepancies in any of the stories? Did you have to write any of the history or rewrite it?
Well, yeah. So there's
the lore.
Whenever you start digging into local history, you get 5, 6, 7 different versions of different events. And that's a great question. I can think of at least 3, maybe 4 examples of where I had some really radically conflicting stories. One that comes to mind is the story of the mini lights, which are supposedly these sort of glowing orbs that haunt, a particular bridge or park near the Rosser Park neighborhood. And, which bridge it is, which park it is, whether the mini lights were sort of like minions of some witch or whether they were something else. I mean, there must be a dozen different stories. They're all sort of tragic and terrible, and intended to sort of, scare. But with urban legends, everybody has their own version. The same, of course, is true with probably the area's most famous urban legend, which is that of Jose Gaspar, who in all probability probably didn't really exist. And there's certainly, if you're familiar with the traditional tale, he was the pirate that's celebrated every year at Gasparilla Parade. But there were a lot of issues with the story. Allegedly he plied the waters here for decades, and in some versions of the story he is sort of a jewel thief who ran off with some of the jewels from the Spanish royalty. In others, he had some sort of illicit affair with a member of the court or what have you. But the long and the short of it is he ended up being sent off to sea aboard a Spanish galleon, and again, did he lead a mutiny? Was he taken by pirates? The story varies depending on who you ask.
Did he take off with that lot of them right before the hurricane?
Yeah. Well, And so, the long and the short of it is, after years and years of amassing treasure and taking plunder, and in particular sending to Davy Jones' locker those very same Spanish galleons upon which he served, he decided to hang up his hat. But his pirate crew wanted one more score. And so they saw what they thought was a distressed, British merchant ship, and they get ready to attack, and it turns out that it was an ambush. But before his ship is more or less destroyed, before he can be taken, he wraps himself in the anchor and throws himself overboard, saying, "You'll never take Gaspar alive," or something to that effect. And now there are a lot of problems with this story, because there were no pirate hunting vessels in the waters around when it was supposed to happen. Then there's the whole issue of, I don't know if you've ever felt anchor chains, but unless you're like the Incredible Hulk, you're not going to be able to wrap yourself in them. And so there's minor issues, there's large discrepancies. The long and the short of it is, he probably never really existed, but he all the same, he might be the area's most famous pirate that never lived.
But the legend lives on.
It does, in all of its rum-sodden glory.
So we've got Tampa Bay, Secret Tampa Bay. Now, I had spoken to you a couple of weeks ago, and you may have another project in the line coming out here in September, which is this. It was a project that got put on hold because of all this crazy pandemic stuff. I do know that.
Correct.
I know when I first heard of it was about a year ago or so. But it is the Tampa Bay Scavenger. And I was invited to your group. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and anybody can join. We have a little group on Facebook, and in the run-up to the release of the book, we might have some giveaways and prizes there.
So it is a book filled with over 350 or so points of interest that would be considered an entire scavenger hunt in the Tampa Bay area. Is that my understanding?
That's correct. So TB Scavenger, 360 rhyming riddles. It spans, I think, 7 counties. So you've got Hernando and Pasco to the north. You got a little bit of Polk. You got, of course, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Manatee, and Sarasota. And so the intent is that people figure out what I'm talking about, or rhyming about. They go, they see it, they take a selfie or a picture there, and then they will be able to enter. We're working on the website right now, but they'll be able to submit things electronically, and every 40 clues or so that they get will unlock one of 9 pieces of a puzzle that, when assembled, will spell out a message, which of course is jumbled. So whoever unjumbles that message first and gives it to me either in person or over email will win the grand prize, which has yet to be determined. There will be cash prizes. We know that. The amount is still variable, but I think we're going to do some cool things along the way, unlocking special content, things like that. So really,
you had mentioned at one point you might be working with some Tampa Bay artists, so they could earn some cards that they could put together, maybe to make some form of art, or build a card house, or something to that effect, something easily transferred in this time of not being able to show up at places. That's why we are being dragged literally into the 21st century by doing stuff over Zoom, and being able to promote you guys is the important part, not so much drawing people to the store that really might not be interested because of the pandemic itself.
And thank you so much for doing that. You do such a great job of really spotlighting local authors like me, and I know that is hugely important. So thank you.
Like I said, it's tit for tat, because we get a lot of great PR back from you guys too. So so let's talk more about this Tampa Bay Scavenger. ETA, I know you just sent in the second draft, right? So you've got 5 more to go, baby.
I feel like this is a pretty clean draft. I'm not expecting a ton of edits. Of course, I never do, and I'm almost always wrong. Um, but the ETA right now is September. This is part of a new sort of line of books that's coming out from Reedy, and they just released the first one, which is called St. Louis Scavenger. And apparently, people have really been enjoying it, and it's really doing well. And so, I'm very excited to be part of this second wave. Um, and it grew out of kind of like a marketing idea I had, where, as I was looking for kind of creative and interactive ways to get the word out about Secret Tampa Bay. I came up with maybe 20, 30 riddles. And when the publisher got a hold of them, they said, wow, we really like these. Do you think you could do more? And I thought, well, okay, how many more are we talking? And they said, like a book. So that was kind of the genesis. And it turned out this was in line with their own thinking. And it just spiraled from there. And now, after months of roaming around and writing everything in rhyme, I feel like a little bit like the Riddler. But it's really been a lot of fun. And it brings me back to some of the first writing I ever really got passionate about, which was actually poetry. And, poetry is a pretty small market. I'd say it is far smaller than offbeat travel. But this was a way to kind of draw upon that and to draw upon, my love of sort of, like geeky J.R.R. Tolkien riddles and things like that. And so I was telling somebody the other day, apparently at the age of 45, I have now fulfilled the dream I had at 14 years old of being a real life dungeon master.
There you go. Check that box.
Yeah.
Check that box when you can.
I mean, it helps. There's not exactly a lot of competition for the job, so that's a plus.
And that's what we're easy to find. We're easy to find your Secret Tampa Bay book. You don't have a cover yet for your Tampa
I
Bay
don't.
Scavenger book, so we're anticipating that with bated breath.
Yeah,
Uh,
as am I. I'm excited to see what they
I'm
do. They've got
imagining like a smogish type character, not letting you anywhere near the treasure, but
right,
Tampa Bay will reveal itself to us.
indeed.
Um, so along with the that you can find on Amazon, local bookstores in the area. What other shops besides here at the Paperback Exchange can we find it? Can we find your books?
Sure. I'm really excited about a lot of local shops that carry it. You can find it at Oxford Exchange. You can find it at Tombolo Books. You can find it at Back in the Day Books. And then you can find it at some other gift shops like Florida Shell Shop in Treasure Island. You can find it at the store inside the Henry Plant Museum. You can find it where else? Visit Tampa Bay. They have a little visitor center, and we're always working on more places. I know Port Key Books, for example, which has been largely a pop-up store. They're actually getting a physical space, so I believe it'll be there as well. Lots of really cool places that have it.
With all of your hard footwork and with the help from Reedy Press doing all this
Mhm.
PR for you, if you go to his Reedy Press site for Joshua that I showed before, you can go see a myriad of excellent places where you can pick up some things to share if you want to promote his book or help him out or just learn more about what he's doing. And like I said, you can find Secret Tampa Bay. But I saw something else pop up and you did a little bit of a lead in there. There's a poetry book in there. And there's also a fiction book, but I didn't see that pop up anywhere. Maybe I
Well,
missed it.
yeah,
What's the title to your fiction book?
it hasn't been published. It's something I've been working on.
Oh, okay.
I do kind of have a little novel um, that I've been hacking away at. The current working title for it is Moonblade, and it's sort of a killer thriller. I'm trying to get a first draft of that done, and that's a little bit outside the Reedy wheelhouse. They tend to focus primarily on sort of local interest and historical works. So as I get closer to having a first draft, I may be shopping around for a place to see if someone's interested in that. But it's still pretty nascent. I think I've still got I still got a couple mountains to climb before I'm ready to call that one a full manuscript.
So would you be willing and interested, if I give you a good lead in, to share one of your poems from your book? Or
Sure. One of the ones from TV Scavenger, you mean?
oh, so you've got poetry in there as well.
Well, in a sense, I mean,
I found a separate poetry book that you have written.
oh, okay, sure. You're talking about Turning the Stars,
Yes.
which that one we only did as a ebook. I have some, smaller, earlier books of poetry as well, but and I love poetry, but I always tell people that, in terms of marketing, I mean, trying to sell poetry is a lot like trying to sell folks the instruction manual to their own car, which is to say, of those who could be persuaded to buy it, they're probably not going to sit down and read it cover to cover. But that's okay.
but,
Turn
but
it.
but without further ado, I'm not going to let you get away from this too far.
Okay, sure.
Local author and poet, our newest and today's May Day Beltrain. What else is it? Maypole Day, International Workers' Day,
Mhm.
Haymarket Riot, which I had to go look that up.
Chicago, yep, I'm familiar with it.
So you knew about that one. Joshua Ginsberg with his poem.
So I'm actually going to read you guys the dedication to TB Scavenger, which I wrote in rhyme because that just seemed kind of like where my brain was. For all of the weirdos and the RPG players, exploring their dungeons and crypts and lairs, for those who spend time doing what they love best, especially when it involves a quest, you seekers of secrets and history, attuned to magic and mystery, who wander far more for wisdom and wonder than ever you do for riches to plunder. For all who wish such a treasure to find, for your pleasure have I this adventure designed.
Excellent. I like it.
Thank you. And historically, I mean, most of the poetry I write has not rhymed. I tend to do, sort of more free verse. And if you wanted, I'm happy to share another one that was actually published in a place called the City Key, which is kind of if I can find it here, I will see if maybe you'd like me to share that one with you as well.
Certainly.
So let's see if we can find the City Key. Poetry, sorry. Here we go. Poetry, the City Key. Yeah, and actually, so this, like I said, is kind of an online publication based in Philly, but their whole focus is on, sort of the urban experience. And so this one, a lot of my journey has been taking me back to my early years and some of the experiences I had with friends when I was, early teen years. And I used to go, and I had a group of friends who lived in New York, and I would go see them on weekends and felt very cool about the whole thing. But this is kind of remembering one specific time that I went to visit them, and it's just called 14. Saw New York again last night, reflected, distorted, just like it never was as a kid, inverted through a droplet on the edge of an icicle hanging off her balcony, suspended there for a frozen breath before falling, shattering like a snow globe, spilling out its magic into the slush and dirty tire tracks over uneven cement 3 stories down. On that day of crisp red brick against a sky blue no earthly painter can mix, when she snapped a perfect picture of our shared inexperience, diffuse light gentle over smooth alabaster, and her lips an uber clever city kid smile that concealed everything I didn't understand, didn't need to yet. The world has kept busy these 30 years since, wrinkling and rending flags and flesh, planting planes in the side of buildings, clawing endless pits, future home to all of tomorrow's monuments. Still, through its stained fingers slip one photo of me and that girl with the heart-shaped face. Thank you. Right, I feel like I need the beret and the long cigarette holder, and right.
You like to touch my monkey?
Liebschanak monkey. I see you picking up what you're putting down.
So we're looking at maybe September for Tampa Bay Scavenger to be coming out. And then soon after that, all of the activities that we're going to find locally at some maybe comic stores. I saw you did maybe something at Green Comics.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
And then got put on hold because of everything getting shut down like that week, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's, what I've found is the pandemic, which admittedly was a weird time to be releasing a local travel book. But I feel like sometimes you think fate is throwing you under the bus, and it turns out that it's really kind of doing you a favor because, as things open back up, I think the vast majority of travel is going to be local. It's going to be a lot less international travel. It's going to be a lot less, airplane travel. So people are looking for places they can hop in the car and drive to within an hour or a day's drive. And that really plays perfectly into things like, Secret Tampa Bay and TV Scavenger. And so, it might actually really be the right thing at the right time. So I'm hopeful, but certainly, with a lot of events, there was a gardening group that I was very excited to talk to, and I know they had to postpone things, so I'll kind of circle back to them, and maybe something with the Florida State Seekers, which is a group of sort of offbeat collectors that I'm shocked I only learned about this past year. I'd like to reach out to them. And so, I think the pandemic just taught us a lot about being flexible, of every, maybe one or two out of every three events, might be postponed or might have to be changed. And, I think as writers, we just kind of learn to roll with that and to be very flexible.
And there was quite a bit of downtime. I know a lot of authors have taken advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're one of them.
Thank you.
Being shut in, learning the new 21st century electronics and social media, but also with the way this is set up, and because it has gone through this pandemic stage, depending on your level of comfort of going out or how you can go out in public, this will be a great tool, like you said, those one-day trips. You can drive by someplace, I don't know, like the bookstore, and find one of the scavenger pieces in the front window and just take a picture of it. Will you have any places on the hunt that you actually have to like go inside a building or seek it out within a museum or things like that?
So that's a great question, and it's something I was really cognizant of because, God willing, by the time everything comes out, we'll be in a different place. But I recognize we might not be, and there's still going to be people who might be at risk and who are averse to going in some of these places. So what I've said in sort of the page on the rules and how it works, and anywhere that requires you to go inside somewhere, I've put a little asterisk next to. And that way, there's maybe, a couple dozen places that are inside of something, but for the most part, I've really tried to keep the vast majority of clues to things that can be found outside, socially distanced, so that it's safe for everybody, because that's, one of the most important things next to having fun with it. I don't want anybody to put themselves in any danger or jeopardy.
The way you've set it up is very inclusive, and everybody appreciates that.
Oh, thank you. I'm really trying.
So we've we've had a wonderful time with your poetry. We're talking about your Tampa Bay scavenger book that's going to be coming out. Anticipating that cover so we can share it here at the shop and get some copies in here too.
Excellent.
What about any next projects that are coming up after that? What are you going to do now that you're all done with everything?
Well, things, and again, I have to say, my relationship with Reedy Press, I feel like, is far exceeded anything I could have dreamed of. I am under contract with them for one more book after this, which is Oldest Tampa Bay. So, like Secret Tampa Bay, what I'm going to be doing is going around looking for the oldest of everything, the oldest ice cream store, bookstore, or bridge, or lighthouse, or synagogue, or church, or just sort of the oldest of everything. And I'm very excited about that because whereas Secret Tampa Bay was largely a travel through sort of physical space, this one is not only kind of traveling around to different locations, but also a way to kind of travel through time and see how Tampa has developed over, really not just centuries, but thousands of years. I mean, every day we drive by and drive over, literally ancient shell mounds that were built by the area's sort of first mound builders. So that's really been a lot of fun. And then we are tentatively talking about a couple more secret books covering some other areas. I don't want to get too far out ahead of myself,
Gotcha.
but I think
Might be some more versions of like Secret Tampa Bay, but Secret Okeechobee Swamp, something like that.
yeah, I mean there might be the land of the mouse god, um, and
right.
that might be in the
Speaking
cards.
about dropping hints, so with the TB scavenger book, are we gonna see any hints in here that play up? I mean, obviously you'd have to have this to help with the scavenger book because if the hints, maybe some hints are in here too.
There are definitely a lot of hints in Secret Tampa Bay. I don't think you need to have Secret Tampa Bay if you want to do the scavenger hunt, but it is certainly you will find that I have definitely made reference to certain things that are in there. And then
with all of the different places that are here on the Tampa Bay book, I mean, just my little sideline story. When I first moved to Tampa, they had an augmented reality game named Inverness. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you pick a side, it's green or blue, and you can pick up pins and triangulate and, conquer areas for your team. But it also allowed you to find places in your neighborhood that were off the beaten path, like you have in the Secret Tampa Bay book. I found several libraries in my area that I didn't know were there that had an augmented reality where I could pick up a key and put down a pin and gather things and share things with other players. Do you see anything like that turning up for your scavenger hunt?
I very much do. In fact, I'm a big fan of if you've ever seen Ready Player One, amazing book. But that really inspired me to try to integrate some technology. And where I'd like to be is still, I think, a few steps ahead of where we can be feasibly. Right now, we're learning to crawl before we run.
You might have to hire some 20-year-olds for coding.
Right. But my hope, I mean, my dream would be something that is connected to an app that maybe, people can download. And when they're within like 50 feet or 50 yards of a clue, they get a little ping. And as they get closer, maybe they see sort of glowing footprints leading to a certain place. And then when they get to the place, maybe they see some historical scene being reenacted there, or kind of augmented reality. That would be, like I said, that's a few steps I think ahead of where we are today.
But, and I have a personal interest. I would like your augmented reality game to require a book to with you.
well, and I think
reasons.
and technology has had such an impact on the publishing and book selling and book making world that I feel like this integration with technology and finding clever and creative ways to kind of integrate new technology with, with a very traditional form of art or storytelling, is really going to be.
Augmented analog, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot of potential, and as the scavenger hunt sort of unfurls, I'll be doing a lot of in-person events, but people can also do things sort of online and submit their answers and pictures. Um, but I think it's going to be a really fun way to interact with the content in a way that is different than simply writing about these places.
And I plan on going back through this, and in the recordings that we create, we'll also have a YouTube recording of this interview. We will include all of the links that we have spoken about today. I just can't do it at the same time on the fly, but we'll add those in later. We'll make sure you can get a hold of Josh through his Ready Press page, through his Secret Tampa Bay page, and through his Tampa Bay Scavenger Hunt page. But all I can say is, Josh, thank you so much for joining us here today. We will be pushing this out early in the week on our YouTube page, so people can share it there. I am also going to have Josh pick a number after we leave here between 1 and 40, and we will allow people to guess for the next week. And if anybody hits it right away, exactly, we will give away the book. Otherwise, we'll wait about a week or so, and we will give away to the person with the closest number without going over. Okay. And somebody will get a nice copy of Secret Tampa Bay. It's a wonderful tool that you can use here if you're looking for stuff to do to get out of the house with your family, but not necessarily get involved yet if you're not ready. But when you are, when everything lifts up, it'll also be a great tool for that too. Thank you again, Josh. I'm gonna let you say your goodbyes so you flash up here. We enjoy you. We enjoy all of our local authors, and have a great day. And we'll see you next time around. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. And for anybody watching, remember, read more, sleep less.
Thank you. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.